Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite comedy channel, Gardiner, the Linux Gamer. This video is brought to you, as always, by my gracious Patreon contributors, including the support of Matt Dancer. Matt, your support is truly humbling. I'm coming at you with some Linux gaming content. Imagine that! Today we're going to be talking about this really cool project that I found on GitHub. Actually, the developer sent me the link, so it's kind of his fault. I'm just very excited about this because this has cleared up a small pain point that I have had about ProtonDB. And if you don't know what ProtonDB is, let me give you a little bit of history. So Valve have been hard at work. I know, right? It's weird. So Valve have been hard at work at this thing called Proton. And Proton is basically Valve's own gaming-focused fork of Wine. Wine lets you run Windows applications on Linux. Proton is specifically designed for playing Windows games on Linux. It's really cool. So Valve have integrated this technology that they're working on into the Steam client, and it's really cool. So it's a derivative of Wine, and it's optimized for gaming, and it lets users have access to their entire Steam library. Now, the problem with that is that Proton isn't perfect, right? Very few technologies are. Basically, you can't expect all of your games to perform exactly the way you would expect. You know, exactly the way they do on Windows. So what happened was Valve tried to address this by creating a whitelist. They've maintained a whitelist of games that work as expected on Linux through Proton. However, it's been a little while since Valve updated the whitelist, and in typical Valve style, they've kind of gone hands-off and left the heavy lifting of that responsibility to the community. And we dutifully have taken up the slack. So ProtonDB comes in. ProtonDB is this awesome frickin' website. There's a link down below, and it provides something like 46,000 Proton compatibility reports for over 8,000 games that are on Steam. That is an impressive number. ProtonDB was created by this guy named DB before, or BD4. Buck is his first name. And it's an awesome tool. Anyone can create a report, and it gives you basically the ability to rank it on a scale from platinum to bronze, or garbage maybe, and it gives you room for notes for the distro you're using and for the GPU type. There are thousands of games that have received a platinum rating on ProtonDB, and many more that have received a gold rank. So ProtonDB.com, you can check it out, or you can check out Buck's GitHub for more information. GitHub.com/dbefore. Or B4. I'm really bad at my B's and my D's. And the other day, GamingOnLinux.com had this really awesome post about kind of highlighting some of the stats. And if you haven't checked it out, it's a really good read. So one of my favorite things about Liam's reporting is that it shows Rage 2 was one of the games that was most tested for compatibility with Proton last month, and rightfully so, because it was released last month. But what's really cool about that is that Valve actually released a new version of Proton to specifically address some of the issues that Rage 2 faced with Proton. And that's really cool. It's impeccable timing on Valve's part, which is something I'm not used to seeing. I don't know if any of you guys are used to seeing that, but I'm not. Suffice it to say, ProtonDB is an excellent resource, right? But don't you wish you could just marry the two? You know, just kind of like take one and then take the other. Like, this is your Steam library, and this is ProtonDB, and you just go and merge them together. Don't you wish you could do that? Now you can. So GitHub user Corrupt Computer, he goes by the name Nick. He's a really cool guy. He created this tool called ProtonDB to Steam library. It's a Python tool. It basically uses the ProtonDB API to add tags to your Steam library games. And what it does is it basically takes your Steam library and it looks at ProtonDB, and then it applies a tag to the games in your library, and they get sorted by those tags. And it's really cool. So games that are rated platinum on ProtonDB are now under the platinum category in your Steam library. That's freaking sweet. So I actually get to sit down with Nick and we actually get to talk about his project. And it was a very interesting conversation. Just a couple excerpts here, just like kind of the highlights. But if you're a patron, you can actually listen to the whole thing at patreon.com/thelinuxgamer. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name's Nick. I'm from Texas, I guess. I've been developing stuff for probably about 7 years now. I started when I was in high school. And the first thing I actually worked on was a small open source game called Space Station 13. The only things I'm really maintaining now are probably this and then a Discord bot.
Oh, a Discord bot. That's fun. So how long have you been a Linux user?
So the first time I ever used Linux, I used, I think, Mint 14. And so that was quite a while ago. But recently, like in the last 3 or 4 months, I made the full switch to Linux, and so now all my devices are on it. And so it's definitely been a changer when it comes to like my gaming PC. And so that was one of the reasons which made me want to make this little program here, or script, if you want to call it that also.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was your inspiration for actually creating this script?
Well, I knew it was possible to import stuff into your Steam library as tags, because whenever I was on Windows, there's another program called Depressurizer, and it did that, but you could do like by Steam store tags, like a genre or whatever the rating for the game was, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I pretty much just had gotten tired of switching back and forth between ProtonDB and the Steam client. And so I was like, well, what if I had these ratings in the Steam client? But I had way too many games to just do it manually in any sane amount of time. And so I just kind of looked for like a script or an API, I should say, so that I could script it to just pull all those for me.
So are there any limitations to your script as it stands right now?
Yes. So with the way Steam is, it doesn't always cache your entire library of games in there, but there's like a way to work around that. And so if your app ID or like Steam game ID isn't in that file, the script won't find it. And so the way to get around that is if you just like select your entire library and then just add a tag to like your entire library and then exit Steam so that it saves that file. You can then run the script and it'll have all of your games pulled up there. If you run into any issues, please open a issue on GitHub, and I would love to be able to get that fixed up for you. And if you have any feedback, also please let me know. Very open to new ideas, very open to anything like that. So please just let me know on GitHub. It's github.com/corruptcomputer/ProtonDB to Steam library.
And there'll be a link for that down in the description. Thank you so much for talking to me, Nick. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
So doesn't Nick seem like just a genuine dude? Oh man, I really enjoyed talking to him. And like I said, if you want to hear the full interview with Nick, you can check out my Patreon page. My patrons get exclusive access to the interview that I did with Nick, the full interview. It's awesome. He's a cool dude. I'm really happy that this tool exists. If you want help on how to use it, I'll have a little write-up over on the forums, forum.heavyelement.io. But I think that's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. If you believe in the work that I do, you can support this show with a monthly contribution over on Patreon, or you can pick up a t-shirt. There's a link down below, but no matter what you do, make sure you hit that subscribe button to see more from me, the Linux Gamer. And as always, thanks for watching.